Hi, this is Lee Warder from Redlaw Resources Webinars, and in this webinar we're going to be looking at quick fixes that will transform your website and force it to convert into extra sales. So I want to cover simple common checks or quick fixes that will help transform your website into a selling machine and make search engines like Google bring you lots of new customers. So some of these things are going to sound perhaps trivial or even irrelevant, but I can assure you that the research shows all of these things do affect people's perception of your site as well as directly affecting sales. Now, below this video on my website, you'll see links to supporting documents and websites that accompany this webinar. So be sure to download those or follow those links afterwards. I'll briefly mention them during this webinar. And don't forget, if I didn't make anything clear, or you want to follow up on something, or just need help with completing some of these tasks, feel free to contact me by email. Now, a quick word about support. I'm very happy to help you in any way I can, but it has to be by email. There's no exceptions, okay? I set aside time every day to answer all your questions. And sometimes it's a quick description by return email. Sometimes I provide screenshots for you to follow because it's not easy describing something. And sometimes I'll run off a quick video showing you exactly what to do. So all of these things I will then add to the page with the recorded webinar on so that anyone else who has that problem can immediately solve it. So this process cuts down on my time answering the same queries and gets someone an instant answer should you need help. But you do need to be signed up to ask questions. It is totally free, and you get a whole bunch of free gifts when you sign up. So you'll see a link below this video, or there's a big red button at the top right of the web page that says free magazine, as well as other goodies. Just click that and you'll be signed up. I won't be spamming you with lots of unnecessary stuff. It's only to keep you updated on new webinars that may be useful to you. Okay, let's get into the webinar. So the question is, why is it that some websites consistently bring in sales day in, day out, while others just sit there lost in cyberspace and barely earning a single penny? It can be very frustrating for the business owner, maybe like yourself, of a non-performing website, particularly if the site has cost you a lot of money and you aren't seeing a return for that investment. So this webinar is just for you, like any business owner who is either not getting enough sales from the website or is getting none at all. And there are a few quick changes that you can make to the content on your website to give it a better chance of converting visitors into sales. These changes will make your website come to life and be a true ambassador for your business and earn you more money. That's what we all want, right? So you're looking at the agenda on the screen at the moment. So that's what we're going to be following in the next half hour or so. And why is all this important? Well, there are two primary reasons why you should make the changes that I'm about to suggest. The first is your potential customers, your potential visitors. You want to encourage these visitors to buy, and these tips that are going to follow will help you do just that. The second reason is that you want Google to love you. Now, Google wants to see certain things on your site and will reward you accordingly. On the other side of the coin, there are certain things Google doesn't want to see. In reality, what this means is, given two very similar websites on the internet offering the same products or services, the site that features things that Google doesn't want to see will be ranked lower. Okay, so bear that in mind. So although these things might seem trivial, they aren't quite what they seem. So our first point is ditch the corporate jargon. Make your site customer friendly. Now, your website should focus on the needs of your visitors and the benefits of your product or service. Unfortunately, companies are still using too much corporate jargon or tech speak on their websites. As a result, most websites in the same business genre all look and sound exactly alike. There's little to distinguish a difference between them. So visitors lose interest very quickly. and many will decide not to venture beyond the first page of that website. For some reason, businesses think they need to spout business jargon in order to sound or look professional. It can actually work against you, so keep the language simple. Instead of littering your site with jargon, try to engage your customers. Think of words and phrases they are more likely to use when searching for your product or service, and use those phrases as headlines on your site, because people scan pages and the headlines will catch their attention. So when visitors see those headlines or phrases, they will know at a glance that your website contains the solution to their problem. And that's what they'll be looking for. So they'll be more inclined to buy from you or to contact you. Add testimonials. This is a great way to engage with your visitors by creating an emotional connection with them, by featuring other customers who are just like them. It adds so much more credibility if your website features some of your satisfied customers speaking in their own words and telling their own stories about how your product or service has helped them. Now, testimonials are, well, sometimes they're relatively easy to obtain. Ask the customer immediately after you have provided a product or service if they would provide you with one, if they wouldn't mind. If they are genuinely happy with a product or service, then they will provide you with one. And very few people will say no. If your customer wants to write his or her own testimonial, that's great, but some customers don't always know how to put their feelings concisely into a powerful statement. They may find it a chore to think of something to write. So although they might be willing to provide a testimonial, you might have to wait a long time, or you might not get it at all. And that's quite often the case. So here's a quick tip to make it easy for them. Try sort of interviewing them on the phone and noting what they say, or email them a short questionnaire of 3 to 4 questions, say, which can help to focus their thoughts. And then you can write the testimonial yourself by putting together what they said. Customers often appreciate you saving them the time and the effort of having to think about what to write or say. I mean, that's always a stumbling block for them, so help them out when you can, and obviously that will be helping you. So make your questions very specific and aimed at highlighting the benefits of your product or service. Ask them what they feel is the most important benefit they received working with you or using your product. So some of the questions you could ask might be, was my company easy to work with? Were we very accessible? Did we go the extra mile? Were we great with your employees and customers, assuming they have any? So remember, you need to write the testimonial from the client's perspective and really rave about how great you are and how great your services are and the dramatic results, etc. Of course, don't put words into the client's mouth. Testimonial needs to accurately reflect their feelings about you, your company, and your product or service. So it needs to be something they are happy to put their names to. That's what it boils down to. And finally, put these testimonials prominently on your website, or have a prominent link where people can find these testimonials. Make it easy for them to be found. Remember to use your testimonials in all your PR marketing as well, not just your website. So you can add them to brochures, leaflets, ads, sales letters, whatever it is that you use to promote your business. My next point is updating regularly. Now, the reason I say this is because Google likes to see websites that publish new content regularly and consistently. I fully appreciate that it's not always appropriate or applicable for business websites to add new content, say, every week. I mean, I know how difficult that is. But it's a reality that Google is looking for fresh material, and it is looking for websites that get updated often. So if you don't do that, you're in danger of slipping behind, say, your competitors who may do that. So it's important I point out to you that this is what Google looks out for and rewards. So the days of static brochure sites that never change or are never updated are long gone, unfortunately. What you find in the longer term is that these types of sites gradually decline in the rankings in Google, and eventually they will effectively disappear. So once you get past the second page of Google, you are to all intents and purposes invisible. I don't know if you know, but around 95% of people searching Google don't go beyond that second page. And often they don't go beyond the first page. So you'll never be found. So how do we get around this? My suggestion is that you think creatively about adding new content. So if you sell products and add a new product line, don't just add it to the product list. Give the product a review and highlight it, say on the home page or a specially created news page. Excuse me. If you provide a service, you could have a news page where you talk about the latest equipment that you've purchased for the business. That will make the job easier and quicker, giving the customer a better result on whatever is appropriate. Take before and after photographs on as many jobs as you can to show potential customers what they will be getting. You'll be amazed at the results that this can get. So those are some ideas about, updating your site as often as you can. Bottom line is you'll be helping yourself. You need to become more social. Now, I know there's a number of you out there who are going to be throwing up their hands in horror. That can't be helped. I can't stress the importance of social media enough. Yes, I know this is going to be contentious, and some of you are going to hate the idea of getting involved with sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and so on. But again, I have to let you know that search engines, especially Google, take note of what's happening on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, and a whole range of other sites, and it can affect your rankings. So it's important I let you know about these things. Google recognizes that the size of your social media audiences and the number of people who share your content are reliable factors in determining how relevant and important your site is. So it gives you extra credibility. So Google is measuring these things all the time. So by maintaining an active social presence, sharing content on a fairly regular basis, and engaging with your audience online, you'll not only grow your community amongst those social sites, but you'll also strengthen your relationship with Google as well. And that's what you want. This relationship will also be reflected in your search engine results and will give you a distinct advantage over your competitors, i.e., you will be the one who will have slightly better rankings. So bear that in mind before dismissing your activity on social media. If you signed up with me, Redlaw Resources webinars, to receive updates, as I recommend you do, you will already have had access to downloading my handbooks on how to use Facebook and Twitter. So if you haven't done that, go and sign up. You'll get those as free gifts. You'll also get a monthly free magazine, which you can download. Also look out for another webinar I'll be running, which shows you how to automate a lot of this and take the pressure off updating all those accounts which you hate. So there are ways of automating this, and I'll get into that in other webinars. So look out for those. If you signed up, then you'll be told about those when they arrive. Now let's look at tools that you can use out there. Now Google has a lot of free tools that you can use. And the primary one I'm going to look at right now is the Google Webmaster tool. Google wants your business to do well. It wants you to be found by potential customers looking for what you have to offer. So to help make things easier, it has provided an array of tools to help you. Google loves businesses that use these tools to their full potential and rewards them for doing so. So on this webinar today, I'm not going to talk about all these tools here, as I will be covering some of them in other webinars and other resources. But as I said, I will talk about just one of them, or I mention them briefly, which many of you can get set up now. That may sound a bit strange, but the reason for doing that, getting you to sign up now, is that the tool will be collating data over time. So by the time you get to see my other webinar on using Google Webmaster, you'll have some data in that account, which I'll be able to show you how to use. It's totally free. It gives you feedback on how good or bad your site is. And of course, good or bad means better or worse ranking. So this is why it's important. This is why it's important you take note of the feedback that Google gives you. So I'm going to switch my screen now to just show you where you need to go to sign up. So bear with me whilst I flip to another screen. Right, this is the screen. The URL, I don't know if you can read that, but this link will be below this webinar for you to click. It's https://www.google.com/webmasters. If you click the sign into Google, sign into Search Console, beg your pardon, which is this blue button here, it will take you to a sign up screen. Unfortunately, I'm already logged in because I'm using Google's webinar software, so I can't actually show you the sign up screen at the moment. But if you go to the URL, sign up, and we'll have a follow-up webinar on getting the best out of this particular tool. And I would say I do recommend it highly. So let's switch now to something that's going to get a number of you groaning, and that's using good grammar and spelling. Yes, I can always hear the groans out there now. Now stay with me here because this is more important than you think, and I'll explain why in a minute. So always make sure you proofread all your pages. If you're doing it yourself, the best method is to read it out loud. That way, if anything doesn't make sense, you'll automatically stumble over the words. It's a good technique that I use myself. Get one of the family or friends to read it over as well. It's important to get a third-party view. And it's worth keeping in mind that Google has found a clear correlation between well-written sites and sites that are highly ranked. Okay, let that one sink in. So the message is loud and clear. Sites that are built and maintained with consistent and careful effort are going to do far better than sites that are thrown together. So if you're willing to invest a little time and effort into your website will be far more likely to give you a worthwhile return on your investment. Now, I appreciate this all sounds a bit anal, particularly as there are so many websites on the internet with poor grammar, beg your pardon, and or spelling on them. But there are two issues that I have to bring to your attention that may affect how you view this. The first is that I've seen research that shows bad grammar and spelling, as visitors are reading a website, actually interrupts their reading flow and thought processes, making the experience a slightly disruptive one. And the research shows that this tends to result in fewer sales. Now, the second and more important point I want to make is that Google is scanning for these things. By these things, I mean bad grammar and bad spelling. A little while ago, an internal Google document was leaked, which talked about what their algorithm looked for on websites. And the Google algorithm, by the way, is their software that scans each website page and ranks it. Now, this document talked about a whole range of issues that Google looks for, good or bad, that can directly affect that page's rankings. It gave professionals like me in the SEO business, that's search engine optimization business, a clear insight into what Google is looking for. I'm not going to go into all the details of that document, but I will highlight one or two entries. For example, they cite, and you can see that on screen, our site quality algorithms are aimed at helping people find high quality sites by reducing the rankings of low quality content. Okay. Now that's quite important, because what they're clearly saying there is that if you've got bad grammar and or spelling on your website, we're going to reduce your rankings when compared to other sites that have higher quality content. Now that's a clear message. Any site with low quality content will have their rankings reduced. And make no apology for repeating this information. You need to take this on board and take action. They go on to list a whole range of items that effectively describe low or high quality content. And I've got 3 of those entries which relate to what I've been talking about on the screen now. 1. Does this article have spelling, stylistic or factual errors? Okay, so we're moving outside of spelling and grammar now. We're looking at factual errors. And of course, Google is a huge database of facts that it can cross-check. So if you've got spelling errors which are producing factual errors, or you've got factual errors themselves anyway, that's going to produce low quality content for your website. The second one, how much quality control is done on content? Very similar to the first one there. But if you've got layout issues, it doesn't look very tidy, again, spelling, grammar, that's going to affect your rankings. And the third issue there, was the article edited well? Does it appear sloppy or hastily produced? Very similar thing again. So whilst these things do seem a bit trivial, they do have an effect on your rankings on the website. Now, you can read the whole Google document for yourself, because I've provided it for you as a download below the video. So read and take action. If you can, avoid Flash. Lots of web designers create websites using Flash. It used to be quite a common thing to use. It's becoming less common now. Why are we talking about this? Well, Google's algorithm is great at reading text, but it cannot watch movies, it cannot view pictures, and it cannot view Flash animation. As I say, Flash is often used by web designers to create animated messages or pictures. The mistake I see often on business websites is that the web designer puts messages, perhaps a business name, and other information inside Flash animation, or even often on simple still pictures. So the classic is putting a business name or some other important business message in a graphic of some sort. So no matter how much of a visual impact this has to you and me, the search engines cannot read the words in the picture. Now think back to what I was saying earlier about Google having an algorithm that reads pages. It cannot read the images. So this means that it can affect your rankings, because these words are not included in the algorithm that ranks the page. And yes, your business name can affect your ranking. And that's something, again, for a future webinar. So it's not always easy recognizing what an image is and what are actual words on the web page, which may be embedded in a Flash image. So give me a shout if you want me to look over your website. You can use the help email below this video, and I will try to help you out as much as I can. Calls to action. It's vital you have a call to action on every page of your website that is selling something. Doesn't matter whether it's goods or services. Many businesses make a reasonable job of describing what it is they're offering, maybe even going on to describe all the benefits that the customer will be getting by buying that product or service. However, all too often I see the page finishes abruptly there. So the visitor is left hanging and doesn't quite know what to do next. Again, research shows that most visitors subconsciously need to be led. In other words, they need to be told what to do next. Now, I know, as strange as this sounds to some or many of you, it does actually work extremely well. So always finish off your page or end a description with a call to action. So it could be something as simple as call me now for more information, or choose how many you want and click the buy button now, but always tell them what to do next. I know that sounds pushy, but subconsciously it's what visitors need. If you measure these things, then you will actually find that your conversion rate goes up. I can promise you that. So this is something very simple that you can carry out. Costs absolutely nothing and will increase your bottom line. Monitoring your competition. I don't need to tell you that this is a competitive world, and you need to be better than your competition in order to succeed online. So you want to encourage Google to send visitors to your site rather than your competitor's site. So your task is to regularly check your competitors' websites. Look to see what it is they're doing. Look for changes and developments. Now, don't copy what they are doing exactly. The key here is to do what they are doing, but do it even better. Of course, you should be looking to be innovative yourself as well. Don't think of your website as a static brochure. That's what everyone else in the industry is doing. You need to stand out so that Google takes notice of you and rewards you with better rankings. Even if you can only invest 1 or 2 hours every month on the website, it will be worthwhile in the long run. Really, I recommend you do that. Okay, that's it for this webinar. It's relatively short, but surprisingly, most of these things will make a difference to your bottom line. If you manage to undertake just half of these tips, you will transform your website and get yourself extra sales in the longer term. But not only that, you'll be putting your website into the best possible position for building it up and applying SEO, search engine optimization, at a later stage. So you're putting in a very positive foundation which has a leverage on everything else that follows. So what you do in the longer term will actually work much better, having done these simple things that I've covered in this webinar today. So very worthwhile doing. So take action. Please don't think any of these tips I've gone through today are unimportant. They are essential if you are to get the best out of what you apply later. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So, see below this video for any downloads or links that I mentioned in this webinar. If you require any help, or if I haven't made certain things very clear, then please use my email below this video to get answers to your questions. I promise you'll get a reply. That's it for now. Take care.